Welcome back, our people. This is another day God has given us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing and for your comments. We at tjkshares team have promised you we will bring you topics that are related to things you want to hear about, but also topics that will build you so we can learn and unlearn together. An interview with an exciting individual who has done amazing work in the world, but also who can help you to connect with your passion, connect with your leadership skills, or how to start a business. Different topics will be coming on tjkshares. Once a week, we'll bring you a new episode. Once a month, we'll bring you a sermon. We want you to grow emotionally, spiritually, physically, exercise, live longer, and we make a difference because we know the best is yet to come. So ladies and gentlemen, today we are joined by Humphrey Nabimanya from Kampala today. He travels all over the world. We managed to catch him in Kampala today. Humphrey is like my young brother, to tell you the truth. And Humphrey's title is CEO and founder of Reach a Hand. If you don't know Reach a Hand and you live in Uganda, I don't know where you live because Reach a Hand is everywhere. But the story of Humphrey is a big story that we cannot cover in one episode. Today, we are going to touch just on a little bit of Humphrey and Reach a Hand and some of his personal story. You know my story of starting with a pencil, getting to the seat I am now, CEO and founder of Nyaka, 21 years in operations. Amazing work happening in Uganda. You hear more about Humphrey. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Humphrey, greet the people, and I'll ask you only 3 questions. You will answer, and these questions will guide our young people who are watching or any other person who will be watching. And then later we'll get into more of the work, transformational work you've been doing in Uganda and your future plans. Welcome, CEO, founder, Reach a Hand.
Thank you so much, Jackson. I'm so humbled to be here. I'm so happy that I'm able to communicate to so many people through you. And also, I am happy to be on this platform for us to share. And also, you know, sharing is giving, and also building is giving. And also, it's a blessing that we get in different works that we do. So I'm really humbled. And I'm also really happy. You know, it's very interesting when you have your mentor to now interview you in terms of how have you met your success journey, and also it's a blessing that also you've been part of this journey that we're going to be sharing today. So thank you so much for hosting me.
Thank you, and thank you for accepting the invitation. You know, we live in a world where even you mentor somebody, they become successful, and they run away from you, they can't take your call. You've seen this, you've heard about it. It happens a lot. Young people who are listening to me. When you give, whether you are mentoring, whether you are giving money, give without expecting anything in return. Because if you give and you expect returns, you might be surprised or disappointed. So I'm so glad that I mentored you. You became so successful, and you are still taking my calls, and we still hang out. So, Humphrey, if you went back to the years when you were a young man, before you even started Reach a Hand, what advice would you give to your younger self?
It's very interesting, Jackson, that you asked this question, because I'm going to reflect about 11 years ago. If you still remember, I hadn't even had a dream of Reach a Hand Uganda, but you drove your car. You had just come in the country and you visited me where I was volunteering. And in that place, if you remember, it was around Kamocha, and the organization was called Literacy Adult Basic Education, in short, LABE.
Yes.
But at the time, you labored to come and see me. And seeing me at that time, I had even nothing that I could showcase in terms of Reach a Hand, but it was all about my passion that I was sharing with you, about the vision that was more of a dream that I was sharing with so many people. But out of that, you're one person that drove your car to come and see this young man called Humphrey. And I remember I was 20 years old. So if you're asking me, what would I really advise myself at that age? I'm going to advise myself at the way I advised myself at that age, in terms of looking out for people that are quite talking within your passion, that do things that you believe in, that also have a journey to self-actualize themselves. Because at that time, I never chose peers that were the same age with me. I chose peers that were older than me that I could really look up to. So what I'll continue advising myself at that age, always look out for people that are going to contribute substance to your life, that are going to be true role models, that are going to shape the life that you want to see after 10 years. It is now 11 years past the time we met when you drove your car to Kamocha, and I'm that kind of person that you might have envisioned for me to be after 11 years. So I'll continue advising myself the same thing. The decision that I made at that moment are the decisions that I'm not regretting today. Though I might have a few decisions that I might have made that I'm regretting of, but I'm really happy that I took up the decision that I made at that time. So I'll continue advising my younger self to always be determined, to have an idea, but never to give up.
Yes.
But if you're determined and you have a vision, look out for people that are in the same line, that are doing amazing things, that you're able to continuously reach out to be able to support you in your dream and vision. So that determination was not because it was built at that time. It was built by seeing people like you that have been determined for over years to build the foundations that you're having, the successful people that you've been able to build, the books that we read at that time. By that time, it was the cornerstone book that you're promoting, and now turned into the school of my village, that I had a courage to read it, to understand who's Jackson Kaguri. And for me, that really made me who I am today. So I'll continue advising myself at that younger age to always be determined, never to give up, but also to look out for people that can support our dreams and ambitions to be where we are right now.
Wow, Humphrey, they say an apple doesn't fall far away from the tree. Yes. Whenever I'm speaking, I always say, watch out, I speak so much, I cannot summarize. You just gave up like 5 episodes we are planning to do. Yeah. On this channel, determination being one of them, yeah. Reading being another one, reading and writing your own stories, which I've written books, talk about this in another episode, written for children. You've talked about following your passion, but the direct answer you gave really for you young people is, if you are passionate about something and you want to build it, find a mentor who is within your reach. And I've said so many times to children all over the world, because many children around the world have, say, use the word mentor, and you ask them, who is your mentor? And they say Michael Jordan, or Oprah Winfrey, or Barack Obama. And I always ask them, if you cannot find a mentor you can touch, feel, sit down with, this whole LeBron James is my mentor, is the stuff that are keeping our youth far away from finding their passion. So thank you for highlighting finding a mentor, and then build around it with many other points like you had. This episode again will be on tjkshares, TJK Foundation, and you can replay it many times and get to the points that Humphrey is going through. The second question we'll ask everybody we talk to is, how did you know how to find your passion? For you specifically, since you work with young people, and you will tell us more about Reach a Hand and everything you've done, including promotion of condoms, birth control, or early child marriages. How did you know, Humphrey, that working with young people was your passion? And where does that passion touch a life experience that led you into that area? I'm asking you questions which answers I know, but for the benefit of our viewers, please go ahead.
One of the things, Jackson, is that sometimes our conditions, especially, I would not say everyone has a condition they go through. Everyone has a background that they go through. Everyone has a community and a society that they go through. And our societal backgrounds sometimes shape the passions that we have. You know, our backgrounds, for example, where we come from, sometimes shape, they have the drive, the passion that we really have. So in most cases, like, how did I know that working with young people will be my passion? It is, you know, growing up as a young person, and especially with my parents or guardian parents that were living with HIV and AIDS, they were so much passionate in advocating for positive living in the country. And also by doing so, they were not so much selfish enough, but they were so much open to us in that they would involve us, for us also to understand what positive living is all about. In fact, they were doing that because they wanted us to live with them positively. So that because also they were creating a supporting environment for themselves. Yes. And by doing so, it started with family. So, but me, I was so much inquisitive because at the end of the day, I had my friends, I had my neighbors whose parents were also like not any different from my parents. And their parents were selfish because they were denying them knowledge on how they can live positively and also how they can gather support. So you find that at a younger age of 6 years, when I was 6 years of age, I even used to tell my mom, who's my sister, that let's share your medication with my neighbors. You get so wow. Indirectly, that's how my passion was growing without me even knowing, but I had a caring heart because I knew that my mom would open up so much to me. Then that means also it can support the mother of my friend. So
and
that's how
Humphrey, without, I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to make sure that people understand this what you just said there. As a child, the giving was there. You didn't know what it meant at the time, but here you were, your sister is HIV AIDS positive, she's raising you. You are not HIV positive, but because you are with a mother who is raising you as HIV positive person, people associate you to have HIV AIDS.
Thank you.
The stigma that comes with that, when we start peppering somebody because they have a beard and you don't have it, because they have a big head, because they are from a different culture. These young people, is a huge lesson. I know now we have another topic that we'll talk about, but please continue. But that stigmatization is a huge one that you just mentioned.
Yeah, so the stigma started from that time. And also we understand that in the 90s, stigma was really so high that even that, so that's where the passion really grew up from. So I grew up in that situation, but also understanding the village I come from, that was also the stigma was so huge because my sister couldn't even go back to the village because of the stigma that she was facing. But also the village I'm coming from, we're looking at my fellow age mates at the same age. By 13 years, they're getting pregnant. By 16 years, they're getting, they're being husbands and fathers of children. So for me, the situation that I went through and the background that I have has kind of nurtured the passion that I've grown up with to be a #1 communicator. Let me communicate to my fellow young people to live a positive life. Let me communicate to my fellow young people to make the right choices in life. But also, how do we communicate to them? As Mandela said, that to communicate to every young person, you have to speak the language they understand. So I got into entertainment as a passion. But when I went into entertainment, I turned entertainment into positive entertainment, to communicate positive of change, but through entertaining. And that's why you see the kind of work we do as Reach a Hand. We're working with musicians, we're producing movies, we're doing comics, we are doing a lot of digitalization and also repackaging the message around HIV and AIDS, sexual reproductive health, to the language that young people understand. So my passion has been driven, which I believe, Jackson, this can be another topic on another day if I'm given a platform. I'll be very happy to now dig deeper so that people can understand the journey. But up to now, the drive I have is because of that passion that was born in me when I was 6 years old.
Now you just volunteered to do 2 episodes of Humphrey Nabimanya, because what you also mentioned, multifaceted approach which I say that there's no one size fits all when you are dealing with people in communities that are so vulnerable. People have asked me, why does Nyaka do water, grandmothers, build libraries, vocational training, secondary training, hospitals? Well, how can one organization do that? When people are not sanitary products, all that. When people are in vulnerable circumstances, and you just said it, you with the youth, you used a holistic approach of reaching people. Some kids were going to watch TV because they are in Kampala where the TV is. Another one is not going to be a TV watcher, but they are going to read a cartoon. Another one knows that Eddie Kenzo is their musician. When he says the message goes deeper. You have used a lot of talent. But again, remember, every person who's coming on tjkshares is answering 3 main questions and then expand. Number 1 question is, what advice you will give to your younger self, which you have answered. Number 2 question, how do you know your passion, whether you're a musician? How do you know that? Whether you are a pastor, how do you know that? And then the third question is, what is your management style? You have been a team leader. Your titles have changed. The one that will never change for life is founder of Reach a Hand. And ladies and gentlemen, also let me say, because Humphrey talked about HIV, AIDS, and stigmatization, that one of the reasons I ended up also reaching Humphrey, my brother who passed away of HIV, AIDS in Ginger left 3 children, and the youngest, Sharon, was following the messages that Humphrey was doing where he was volunteering. When she told me about this young man 11 years ago, we ended up getting to Humphrey, and since that day for 11 years, I have mentored. I've been mentored. He has grown now to be a colleague rather than a mentee, and the responsibility of mentoring I imparted in him. We'll talk more about how many people he's mentoring, but again, if you ever know the number of people you are touching, you have not done nothing. There are so many we touch and we never hear from. I am just lucky today to be touching, reaching you, and to go into the third question. What is your management style? How do you lead people? How do you go about managing people every day? Human beings are so difficult. I manage people. I've done an episode. If you haven't watched this channel, you go in through the episodes, you will see how to start your dream, how to sustain it. You will see how to manage and delegate. But this channel is all about learning and unlearning. How do you manage? And are there things you have managed and you go back and say, I should have done it differently?
I might confess, Jackson, I know that you're on your show, but it's also a platform to confess.
Yes.
If I maybe didn't have a mentor like you in life, I don't think that I would have managed to manage people. One of the things that we never, like, I didn't go to school. Things I never learned in school was how to manage people. And I believe that so many leaders, sometimes this is the born skill, it's a nurtured skill that is a God-given gift that in most cases that we get. And I believe that everyone has that gift, but how they nurture it is also what really matters. And that's why when we started the show, and you asked me a very important question, every young person that is growing, every leader that is growing, need people like you in their lives that is going to shape their future leadership. For example, did I go to school to learn to be a CEO? The answer is no. Did I go to school to learn to be a team leader? The answer is no. Did I go to school to learn how to manage people? And also with our education system in Uganda, those are some of the things that we lack. You know, we are going to start studying international relations, public relations at campus. Yet this is an education that every young person should grow up with. But when you see on how we are growing up, these are kind of nurtured skills that God has gifted you in terms of how good are you at mobilizing. My journey of mobilization might have started like way back when I used to mobilize people on the village, my fellow friends, borrowing video tapes, borrowing that. And you find that at my home, it was used to be like a playground. Why? Because I had the spirit of mobilizing people.
The talent of gathering.
Of gathering.
Yes, sir.
And that's how you kind of see it now that, oh, maybe this was a God-given talent that he gave you. And it's not given to anyone else. So when it comes to your question, working with fellow young people is one of the hardest parts. One is that you have to put it in your mind that if you're working with your colleagues or young people, especially as the millennials, don't expect too much. So expect to get value out of their talents and their output, but don't expect them to stay longer driving the same vehicle you're driving. You're going to grow them, and after 2 years, they're going to leave. And that's the fact. And it's happening everywhere. Be it the big company or small company, it is very hard to retain us. So sadly, to us, the founders who are the stewardship of our vision and dream that are moving this train. So I have a model that I've built up, that I have a moving train that is moving very fast.
Yes.
At the moment, I am the pilot as a CEO.
Yes.
But also it needs fuel. It needs people that can be able to run the engines. So by running the engines, everyone is going to be able to run that engine. But at the moment, there are people that it has a stop station, and also it has a destination.
Yes.
I have very many stops we stop at. When we stop at those stops, there are people that get off the train. And those are the people that maybe are on the team or the people that are managing. And they will get on the train, they're going to either get onto another train that is going on a different direction, or they are going to stay in the same city. That's right. That's how that's how the leadership style of Reach a Hand is all about. But our train is moving very fast. It will never stop until it gets at the destination. So if you feel like Reach a Hand is not moving anywhere for you as an individual, you're either in or you're out. So we have a train
moving regardless.
Plus we keep moving regardless. And our staff keep moving regardless. But now the other thing that we have brought on board is basically nurturing, and the mentorship that we have learned from you, Jackson. Nurture the young people through our Peer Educators Academy program, through our programming and the schools over the 11 years to over 10 years to 11 years, we have been able to nurture young people that have understood the culture of the organization. So when they understand the culture of the organization, remember, they will know the train is moving fast, but also I'm not able to stay in this train for long. So I'm going to come and work for Reach a Hand for 3 years, but I'll be able to move somewhere else that is maybe even better, so that I can contribute back in this train. So that now I can be the fuel station that's going to be fueling this train. So Reach a Hand for the past 11 years, we have nurtured now people that are working with funding organizations. And these are young people that now I call and even beg for money, but they've been Reach a Hand peer educators.
Yeah, right?
We're having our peer educators who are now even headmasters of different schools because they've been nurtured by Reach a Hand. Yes. We're having now young people that are even owning their own organizations. Yes. And now we sit on the same table and discuss the matters of young people in this country, but they've been nurtured by Reach a Hand. Have they been part of the train? Yes. Have they moved somewhere better? Yes. Are we proud of that? Yes. But through mentorship and building up your own army.
So basically you are telling us, Humphrey, that Reach a Hand gives the gift that keeps giving. When you invest in young people and everybody's on the train, everyone must play their role carefully, whether yours is putting fuel, another one is stop on the brakes, another one is cleaning the windows, regardless of what your position is in that train, you are part and parcel, and your job is as important as the person who is sitting on a steering wheel. And when they reach on the station and somebody needs to get on that train, you have created the management where people will succeed and move on to continue succeeding, especially since you started them young. Thank you, thank you. You are an amazing gift to this TJK shares team, and your knowledge that you've shared and skills will benefit so many people. Later in the program, or at some point, we'll do an episode where we'll bring some of your former peer educators who are now husbands, who are now headmasters. I like headmaster, who are running situations, and we'll talk to them because I want to combine them with the Nyaka pioneer students who are now lawyers, doctors, engineers, teachers, husbands, and people. I'm going to weddings now where the kids who started in Nyaka, I started with babies, we started with peer educators. So it was a natural way of meeting. But for the time remaining in our segment, please do share what Reach a Hand does for those people who don't know details. We started you with questions, and now what Reach a Hand does, how it has changed from 11 years ago to now. You've celebrated 10 years. Recently, I saw you were even in Ishaka, Bushenyi, in southwestern Uganda, for an organization that started in Kampala. How did this young man from Katereza grow this big organization that continues to grow? And then I also want to touch on your other aspects that are not related to Reach a Hand. I know we talk about mentorship. I've been to your home in Katereza. You've been to my home in Nyakajezi. In fact, recently we were together in Chi, working against gender-based violence. But I do know that for the Christian community that listen to us, and where I bring someone once a month, we visited and learned that I had built Zituni Church in my village where I was born and raised, the church that my grandfather had built and fell apart. When you learned about this, you told me you wanted to dedicate some of your birthdays and raise money and build a church. How far is that church now? And how is the community worshiping that church responding to your generosity, separate from Reach a Hand? And then from there, you go ahead and tell us where Reach a Hand is and what other aspects you are doing. We have about 5 or 6 more minutes to close this episode.
Thank you so much, Jackson. One is that I'll start on the church bits. And you see, everyone who might see me, everyone who knows Jackson and knows me, like, Humphrey is building a church like Jackson, you know. It's because of the mentorship trends and the things that you admire about your mentors. And also, this is a message that goes to people. If you emulate your mentors, then also try to follow into their footsteps to be able to benefit your people back at home. And also, that's why it also goes in terms of choosing who the right mentors are, because sometimes you might also choose the wrong mentors, as also you have really mentioned about it. So the church is almost finishing. Right now, we are touching the inside bit of it. The community is really appreciative. And also it's something that I've done that I feel so much fulfilled in my heart. Saying that also where I come from, I've been able to do something like that. And also something you didn't touch on is that with our strategic plan of Reach a Hand Uganda, we are now also establishing a hospital like how you did in Nyakajezi, that is also going to be helping the mothers, helping their children, helping their young women and girls, but also specifically also helping men, because we want to build a men care unit that is going to be able to support them to do vasectomies. In terms of, so that they can also make a decision in making a family, so that also they can be part of making a family planning decision. So those are some of the elements that we are doing. And also, you know, thanks to the direction that we have been able to get. Also, my birthday this year, I want to fundraise for an ultrasound scan system. So there's something that I'm looking forward for to establish into a new established hospital, hopefully to launch it next year. So it is more of turning our special days. And this is something that I've learned from you, Jackson. For over the years, your birthdays are more giving back to Nyaka AIDS Foundation. So also this is more also turning the whiskeys and the wines and the feasting into something that you can be able to live on and also celebrate. So that also our children tomorrow can look up to something that they can really be proud of. So that's something that we're working towards for. So Reach a Hand Uganda is a youth-centered organization that is focusing on empowering the young people in different aspects. Our entry point was mainly to address issues on HIV and AIDS and sexual reproductive health, but now we have gone beyond in terms of also having a big arm on behavior change communication, because we believe that to make people make the right choices in life, you have to change their behaviors, you have to change their attitude. You have also to look at the environment they live in, how friendly can it be, so that certain issues can be discussed, so that people that are going for services can be youth-friendly, people that are going for family planning, they cannot be criticized, people that are living a different lifestyle as well cannot be criticized. So we're looking at all those kind of aspects in terms of behavior change communication aspects that we're looking at. So Reach a Hand focuses on that, but also we target that young person that is able to be empowered and make an informed choices to live healthy, to live a life, to dream and achieve that dream, and also to be able to empower himself to transform our country by looking at the socioeconomic transformation, for example, in that different societies. So that's the kind of young person that we look at. But our main niche is to focus on sexual reproductive health and rights for young people. We have also established a strong media arm that is now producing movies. We are now even owning a youth television called Sauti Plus TV. Very soon it's going to be on our cable networks in Uganda. So we are pushing all those kind of innovations that really target the young people in different aspects. So that's what Reach a Hand does. Also, it needs another 1 hour with a TGK so that we can tell you how it started, because I'm happy to say that Jackson has been part of the journey since Reach a Hand started. Even before it started, he's been part of that journey and he has seen it grow. And also we're really happy for the support that you've given us through Nyaka and also through yourself. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my young people who are listening from all over the world, our channel has already reached on all 7 continents. We are there. Schools are listening. They are going to see you. I am really, really impressed and so proud of the work you've done. Chadala, showing in Uganda. Yes. That's a film that is produced by Sauti. You haven't talked about Icon Awards. Yeah, there's so much that he has not touched on. So we will have to make a promise that we do another interview in another month, so we can follow up part 2 of this. For now, we at tjkshares, the team, and everybody behind it, the producers and all the young people who are working. We mostly work with the young people who are moving the needle, who know technology very well. We thank you for sparing time. We appreciate you. And as we always say, the best is yet to come. And I'm glad you are part of this journey, and thank you for sparing time to share with TJK. Once again, subscribe, share, like, put comments down so we can bring you more people to share knowledge with you. For now, thank you. Have a good day, have a good night, have a good morning. Since we are global, we know we are reaching all time zones around the world. Take care of yourself, and thank you.
Thank you.